Hello everyone, my name is Carlos. I'm here with
Damien.
Camila.
Judy.
We're going to be discussing Chapter 8 of Language Awareness. And yeah.
Chapter 8 talks about the evolution of language and about how new words are formed and changed. Just to start off, whenever you're emailing teachers, do you guys feel like you use a lot of formalities? Like, oftentimes I feel like when I'm emailing a teacher, I will structure it more like a letter than an email to
yeah.
Now, on that note though, oftentimes when I get responses back, I feel like it's lacking that formality at times.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, depending on the way that they respond, I feel like it's a bit dismissive. I don't know about you guys though.
Yeah, I can understand that. When I'm writing an email, I definitely want to, I guess, like come across formal, just because like when I am emailing a teacher or something, they're kind of like in a status of like a mentor, or like, you know, they're like obviously like I don't know how to describe this. Like they have a status of superiority. Does that make sense? So, you know, I just want to come across as like formal and as respectful as I can. Yeah.
I feel like the dismissive part I kind of get, because like if you're like asking a question and like sometimes they don't always give you an answer, or they're like, oh, just like come to my office hours. But like it's kind of like for me, because like I commute, so it's kind of hard to like go to office hours with like managing, having a job, living far, other classes. Yeah, so I feel like the dismissive part is kind of like just need an answer.
Right. Okay.
I brought that up though because it speaks to the difference in like the generational divide that we see emails. Sometimes professors might not mean to be dismissive, and they might see it as more a casual response or now that's not true for everyone, but to a certain extent there is that divide in how we see and use email.
Right. Yeah. No, I totally feel and understand what you're saying.
So how do we feel about the term Latinx?
As like me personally, I really am indifferent to it. I kind of, if I were to describe myself, I either say I'm like Mexican or Hispanic or something along the lines of that. I would almost like never use Latinx or any other variation of that, just because I don't know. I'm not really. I guess I don't really identify with that. So.
Yeah. I think Latinx is like something new, or like people that are non-binary or they don't have a gender. Most people use Latino or Latina.
I feel like I don't really like the term Latinx, because like Spanish is like a gendered language, it's very gendered. So like kind of adding an X, I feel like it kind of Americanizes it, because like mostly in like America is where like you can change your gender, or like you can identify as something else. And like if you were to go to like Mexico, like the standard for that is like completely different. So I feel like it kind of Americanizes the term.
Yeah, that was the whole thing about the Latinx, that they were trying to make it like not a gender.
No, and I agree with all the sentiments. And like you said, I do typically, if I'm asked, I respond with no, I'm Mexican or I'm Hispanic. But like you said, it's a gendered language, and I understand the need for inclusivity, but at the same time, you're altering a culture and a language in a sense, in a way that I feel is slightly unnecessary.
Do we know where Latinx, like the term, originated from? Like, was it from?
I'm pretty sure it was from here. It was like Chicanos.
Oh, okay.
Like Mexicans.
Right. Okay.
And like she said, it's that kind of culture and that kind of need for inclusivity is very much in the States and not in Mexico and in other parts of Latin America.
Okay. So, you know, the modern day, you know, people like just get a little bit off topic, but people in our like generation or our age range, we typically like to use a lot of like slang or improper language. How do you guys feel about that? Do you think it's like a good thing? You know?
I think it's useful. It has its place, like all other words, like profanity, for example.
Yeah.
It can enhance a sentence. It can express deeper meaning, but it has its place. You wouldn't go and swear in front of your boss or in front of a professor, maybe, or just in the same way that I feel slang has its place. It can be used appropriately when you're in certain instances, or it can be seen as kind of disrespectful in others.
Right. Okay.
I feel like it kind of shows like how comfortable you are in a scene or like around certain people, or like even like a relationship between people. Like you kind of have your own slang, or like do your friend group talk a certain way. But like yeah, there's a place for it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I would normally just use slang or kind of improper like language around my friends, just because we're close. It's I guess the environment doesn't feel as serious as like as Damien mentioned before, talking to a boss or a teacher. It's more of a comfortability.
I wanted to add that back like in our days we would get slang from like school, but now kids are getting it from like TikTok or the internet.
Social media.
That's very true.
And so it's become like completely different, like the new generations. Like alpha, sigma.
Yeah.
Like to me, like that's what it sounded like a fraternity.
Yeah.
Right? And so like now they're like, oh, that's so sigma. Well, what does that mean?
Or like the chuz, the hus,
Yeah.
the bros.
Or like chopped.
Yeah.
Like I thought chopped was a good thing.
Yeah, I chopped.
Yeah.
I mean, that shows how much social media has kind of impacted language, though. I mean, so many new words cycle in through and through, and like we said, just because we're not even that much older, but we are older, we find that disconnect from all these words that are like springing out so quickly.
And like us growing up, we had a different kind of social media. So it's like it's more new, like some kids weren't allowed to have it, or like I was allowed to have social media, but like still kind of like found ways to like access it. Nowadays, like every single kid has social media, like watches TikTok, YouTube.
I think it's just because like, or I don't know if I'm wrong in saying this, but I feel like most people are on social media, except for maybe I guess like the like older generation, or so yeah, it's definitely a lot more accessible to just everyone. So I guess it's not surprising that it has a heavy influence on like everyday language.
On the note of social media, something that I kind of noticed, I feel like our generation is a lot more giving with social media, like in the sense that, if you're trying to keep in communication with someone, people are often like, oh, here's my Instagram, or here's, like whatever main messaging platform you use, they'll be like, here's this, as opposed to your phone number.
That's interesting. I never really thought about that. Like now, like you don't really, like if you're asking somebody like for like their number, like you like them, like nobody really asks for your number. Like, oh, let me get your Instagram.
Right.
And it's also a way to kind of see into that person's life a little bit more. And just like, oh, like I saw you on the street, thought you were cute or whatever.
Yeah.
It's more like, oh, you see what they do in their everyday lives, like what kind of posts they like, or like what they post. Yeah, so it's like kind of impacted how like meeting somebody. But at the same time, people put up a front on social media.
I also feel when you ask for somebody's like Instagram, it's almost like not as serious as asking for somebody's number. It's a lot more casual, because I mean you can give your Instagram or anything like that to like anybody that I guess you're okay with. So yeah, it's like the barrier to like the barrier to entry is like really low. So
I think giving your phone number is like more formal. And
Yeah.
then rather than giving your Instagram, it's like friendly.
And even like finding people on social media, like you don't even really have to ask for your Instagram. You could just like find them. And look
Right. No, it is very easy to find and connect people through social media. I feel like as well there's a little bit more control through social media. You can block a phone number, but there's like more options that you have. You can mute people, you can like restrict the kind of messages and things that they send to you on social media as well.
Right. So like when you guys are on social media, does like, so when you speak, obviously, you know, you try to sound as or articulate as possible. You know, you really want to get your point across. How do you guys think that correlates to how you text somebody? Like, because you know when you text somebody, you can like shorten like your words.
Like acronyms.
Yeah, you can like have acronyms. Like an example that I just saw on Instagram before doing this was people are now like shortening the word this, like THIS to TS. So it's like it's getting kind of ridiculous.
But at the same time, that's a different acronym. Like TS to me is this shit.
Oh,
or like
okay.
this. So like if someone's like, oh, like it's TS as this, like I'm not gonna be like, oh, that means this.
Right.
Like what are you talking about?
Yeah.
I agree because like I feel like IDK for I don't know is reasonable. Like it's 3 letters short, or it's 3 words short than 3 letters. That makes sense, but that is a bit aggressive. It's already just a 4-letter word. I feel like it doesn't need an acronym.
That's true.
Also with the tone. So like I feel like trying to get the right tone across when like texting and stuff. Like if you put a period, to me that seems like you're mad or like more serious. Or like I'll put a certain emoji at the end of my text to make it seem like I'm not mad.
Right.
Or like I'm not being serious. Yeah. So like it kind of like your tone isn't always coming like what you're trying to put across.
Right. Yeah, I definitely get the idea of like if you put a period, it might seem like you're mad because to put a period is kind of like you kind of have to go out of your way to put one. So yeah, I can see the connection there.
Or like even with like an acronym and then a period, like IDK period.
Yeah.
Or like instead of putting okay, just K.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well on that note, I'm terrible with grammar and text messages. I don't ever use pretty much any punctuation, so I don't know how that would like. Which I guess would go back to then if you take the time to put the period, then it is but.
There's also like communication like that through generations. Like my grandpa tells me K all the time, and I kind of get offended. And like he like obviously he's not mad at me.
Right.
He's just like K.
Right.
I think it has to do with like I guess the context or like the situation in which or who you're talking to or what the situation is. Yeah.
I feel like emojis do help with that as well, like to express the tone, like you said, because it is hard to get tone across through a message. But I don't know, something that I recently saw that was kind of odd to me was people started using tone indicators in text messages, where at the end of your message you can use the one that I saw it was like a list and it had / and then it was like a different list of different letters to signify different, like whether or not you were joking or whether or not you were being serious or whether or not you were. And I see the use for it, but at the same time I think it's one of those things that I'm not used to it, and so it felt a bit odd to see.
It's Joshua, and today I'm here with Carlos. So let's start the topic. How is communication evolved in the age of text, slang, and global influence?
So communication has evolved to be a lot more common and a lot more mainstream in, I guess, in everyday life. So you can see it in like text. People often use slang or kind of improper language when communicating with one another.
That's a great point. Language is really diverse, and now that we have AI becoming more advanced, it will have a huge impact on how language will evolve over time.
Yeah, it's interesting. Not to mention, language will continue to evolve over time as it's done from the past.
Meaning, this is why our English today is also different compared to like 20 years ago, as the vocabulary was way different compared to today's time. Carlos, thank you for giving me your time.
My pleasure.